my name's Thomas, and I've been at Trinity for
9 years.
9 years.
Well, he started in preschool, but yeah. Oh, I'm Eliza. I'm Thomas's mom, and he's been there since we've been coming to the church for preschool and then for church, mostly holidays. But this because of the pandemic. Well, there was a sermon series earlier in the year that my husband was interested in, so we started going. And then when the pandemic hit, we started attending all of the services on Sundays.
Awesome. And in that time, knowing that you have largely been attending since our pandemic hit, what's been your favorite thing about Trinity? And this is for both of you, Thomas and Eliza.
My favorite thing about Trinity is the building. I love the building of Trinity. I think it's during COVID, it was like I can't go there. But I mean, I've been there for a lot of my life, and it's a really nice place, and so I miss that about Trinity.
Thomas, does it feel kind of like a second or third home to you? Is it just like a space you feel comfortable in?
I think it's more of a tree house than a second or third home. You know, you go there every Sunday to play with your friends or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that analogy. I'm going to start using that, Thomas, if you don't mind, if I use the treehouse analogy. What about you, Eliza?
I like the community. I like all the people, and just getting to know people, and everyone is so sweet and nice. And then there's Grace with, her sermons and just connecting the dots. And then people like you and Jill and Tom, who also help with the community and with service, and it's just great. And then everyone who does music, I'm just amazed every Sunday at the talents of all the people at Trinity, the singing and the piano playing, the instruments, the violin, all the different instruments.
Yeah, I am also pretty constantly surprised and really impressed by all our awesome musicians and talents that I didn't even know people had, that I feel like I'm discovering through this time. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And what has kind of felt you most connected to church and to God I think especially during this pandemic? What are some practices or things that have made you connected, or where you feel most connected?
It's a lot easier to go to church. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really look forward to going to church, because it's a big drive and you have to wear really nice clothes, and that's not my thing.
So he's really digging on being able to keep his PJs on and just plugging in the laptop, and we eat like right before, and I usually make either coffee cake or pumpkin pancakes. So it's our weekend breakfast. We eat before church and then set up the laptop and we're good to go.
That's great. I love that you have a routine that you all do. And I do have to admit, I also appreciate, I get up way later now than I ever had to when we were doing in-person church. So I'm with you there, Thomas, about the joy of a leisurely Sunday morning. Awesome. Are there things that make you feel connected to God, even being separated from maybe I think there's a lot that can be said about entering into a worship space, but are there things that have kept you grounded or connected in this time?
I think Trinity is because whenever I think of churches, I think of the nuns that whip you if you're not paying attention in the thing. And so I think that Trinity is a fun church. All the stuff, all the events that you guys have held that are really creative, like the trunk or treat and the busting of the Chromebooks. I think that's definitely something that's probably going to draw a lot more people to the church than the evil Catholic nun church. Full of the old ladies with the robes. With the things, yeah.
That's fair. I hope that you never feel as if we will. I'm glad we're the fun church. I will take that. What about for you, Eliza? Are there things that have felt like grounding or connecting in this time for you?
I've really enjoyed the fellowship Zooms. I haven't been able to make all of them, but when I join them, the questions that you throw out for us to discuss, it's brought back memories of growing up in the church and just little things. It's interesting. It brings back, the connections when I was, growing up and learning about God and my connection to him. And so it's been really nice because it's made me think about those things and share them with people. And it's interesting because several times where you've thrown out questions and it'll bring back this memory, and I'm like, and I'll share it and I'll get verklempt, as you know. But it's touching, and it's just like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have found our fellowship times, especially virtually, to be way deeper than I've ever was when we were in person, which has been really incredible to have this community where we can share those moments where they surprise us, and people are there to hold us in those moments. I've really found those incredibly deep and connecting and revealing of God's presence also. Awesome. And then are there practices or things that have, I know, especially with like online worship, it can be very like easy to zone out or just watch. Are there things that have kept you like interactive or engaged? What are some of those?
Well, I've been coloring. So since Easter, when you had those really cool pages, we had markers. We used to have, I think we only had a set of 24, but Thomas and I would get the markers out between us. And while we're listening to the sermon, actually, we probably start kind of in the middle, like when scriptures are being read. And that's when we start, we get them out and we start drawing. And I find that, especially during the sermon, when I'm coloring, I can really focus on listening. And Thomas usually draws. And so that's something that it's almost like you said, part of our ritual. To
behold the church wall.
Oh, wow. Is this all the things you've like created during church?
Most of these are things I've drawn during church.
Oh, wow. Can you show me a couple of your favorites, Thomas?
Okay. Yeah, totally. So the first one is one that I actually didn't do during church, and that's this castle. It's a large castle.
I'm trying to do, it's opposite land.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's hard
to move it. Yeah.
There it is. There's the
one that I've done during church is this one. This one right here.
Do you remember do you remember what was being talked about that day?
Oh no, I've done far too many of these to remember any of them.
Cool.
And finally, I think that there's this one here, which I did during church.
Oh, wow.
And then what you want to show her, the one on God's throne you did this last Sunday?
Oh, sure.
It's a really nice one. It's over there. It's curled up a little bit.
And so this person actually drew God on his throne.
Oh my gosh.
And then that's earth below him.
Wow. And that was from this past Sunday?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so incredible. I love that you all are using your art as a way to kind of ground and connect yourself. Thomas, have you found that to be a helpful tool of grounding and engaging?
Yeah. My mom's getting out her coloring book.
This is one of the last ones that I did that I really like. I've got these ones called Barcelona tiles.
Oh, wow.
So I just like coloring.
Yeah, I have to name Eliza since you mentioned that. I think during Easter, I pulled out my own coloring book and started doing it during worship. So I'm grateful for you sharing a spiritual discipline with me that I've really, and I got that from you. So thank you for sharing that with me.
No, it's
Awesome.
fine.
That's a good skill to know you have. Speaking of skills, gifts, and talents,
You can play piano.
ooh.
But I'm not okay.
Really good too.
So Thomas, when I say the word stewardship, do you know what that means? It's okay if you don't.
So I believe that it was giving, or it was upholding the church, or giving to the church, or I don't know.
I don't.
So giving is one of the pieces. There's many different ways in which
Being a part of the church.
Yeah. And so stewardship is about the ways in which we invest into our church community. And so giving is correct too, but it's not just, there's many different ways in which we can give. We can give in our time. If you've ever seen someone be like on a committee, like we're gonna recognize a lot of those. That's some ways. Our skills and gifts and talents, which also I think, the ways in which, thinking about if you like play piano, maybe if you felt comfortable to give a, offering of music one day, or if I know you're really techie, so we need a lot of that this year. So I think stewardship, and then there's also the financial gift to like support running, because we have expenses. And so it's all of those, which I think we often sometimes forget about those first two when we talk about stewardship. Are there ways in which you all have engaged just in this like general that has fueled you all, been deeper in commitment in church? If not, that's all right. But I'm just curious if there's ways of which like time and gifts, or you're excited about giving in going forward.
Yeah, Jill asked me to be on the committee that plans events. And so I have signed up to do that next year. I guess it's a 3-year term, but I couldn't make the Zoom. They had a Zoom the other night, and I couldn't make it because, I had another commitment. So.
And Liza, what made you say yes to that? What led to that yes? What are you excited to show and do? Yeah.
I think Jill was mentioning my creative talents. And also I used to, in other different organizations, I've helped plan events. So that'll be probably just a thing, continuation of things I like to do. I like planning events and doing things. And we used to have really elaborate birthday parties for Thomas when he was growing up. My husband and I would plan them. And that's why I told Jill, I said, James can help too. He's, he doesn't have the use of his left arm, but he's very creative and he can tell people what to do.
Amazing. I love it. I always need help with that. Oh, lovely. Thomas, are there gifts or skills you'd like to use more at church in the upcoming years, or multiple years next year? Or it's okay if you don't know. But
I think if I get good enough at a certain piano piece, then sometime in the far or near future, I could do it for the thing. But
But it takes practice and time.
One question I thought you were going to ask was about what was his favorite event, because he said he was saying that both he said the blessing. I asked him about the blessing of the Chromebook or trunk or treat, which was his favorite, and he said that.
I think overall fun trunk or treat was a little bit like more fun, and it got me a lot of candy, so I'd say it's a little more benefiting. But the blessing of the Chromebooks was very creative, and it got me on the news. So that's the first step to being a celebrity. So
so church is helping you along the path to celebrity. That's amazing. Awesome. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Have you been using, just for my own, have you used in your worship box since we started, or largely has it been kind of?
I think that
we've been trying to use the candle, turn the candle on, just because that whole like ritual, like we're in, sometimes we'll have to remind James, you need to turn off your phone because we're in the middle of church and we don't look at our phones while we're in church. So that's been something. And then he draws, so he's used some of the paper and stuff in there.
Cool. Awesome.
Although I like how you on the program, you have the little, like the cross, so you can get your cross out, and that the wood crosses are really beautiful.
Yeah, they're olive wood from the Holy Land. So they actually are from, yeah, we
Wow.
purchased that. So they've been blessed and we're taken from there. So
Very cool.
yeah.
I
Awesome.
did
Well, thank
not.
you so much for your time and for all the gifts and skills I know you all bring to Trinity. And especially, I was so, and I know many other people were really heartened and enlivened by your choice to join the church. So we're really grateful for your continued presence and what you bring to our community. So thanks so much. And
Yeah.
I'll let you get to your Friday evening.
Okay.